Welcome to the Holistic Entrepreneur with holistic nurse practitioner, success coach, and best-selling author, Bonnie Groessl. Bonnie and her expert guests share tips, tools, and strategies to achieve success on your holistic entrepreneur journey. Each show features answers to common entrepreneur challenges, along with a healthy dose of support and motivation. Now, please welcome the host of the Holistic Entrepreneur, Bonnie Groessl.
Well, welcome everyone. This is your host, Bonnie Groessl, here at the Holistic Entrepreneur. Now, today we are bringing back Buddhist author Galt to share her insights into the Buddhist perspective on how women can flourish in the fifth dimension. Vaughn was on the show a few weeks ago, and I'm so excited to have her back to talk more specifically about how women will function in the fifth dimension. I will introduce Vaughn in just a moment, but first, I always want to take time to thank you for taking your time to be here. I know that time is our most precious asset, so I always want to make sure that these shows are value-packed so that you feel your time was well spent. And you won't be disappointed today. It's going to be an amazing show. Now, a little reminder for all of us before we begin. The information presented here is educational, inspirational, and motivational in nature, but I always want you to just take what fits for you and simply let go of the rest. This show does not intend or imply to be a substitute for professional medical diagnosis, advice, or treatment. So I always want to preface every show with that little reminder for us. Now make sure you check out the show page before you leave because Vaughn's website is there, and there's also special gifts for you at bonnielinks.com, and you can always connect with me at my main website, which is my name, bonniegroessl.com. And that's where I archive all the podcasts from both the Holistic Entrepreneur and the Gift of Choice. There's 10 years of content on there. And there's also information about our company, M&B Global Solutions. So check that out if you're so inclined. Now, at the end of the show today, I have a special announcement about the future of the Holistic Entrepreneur Show. So make sure you stay tuned for that. Now, allow me to introduce our special guest for today. Buddhist author Galt earned her BA from the University of Washington and her MBA in e-business management from Westwood College of Technology. She was born into the Buddhist spiritual tradition and published 2 Buddhism books so far. Vaughn is a working mom in IT who lives in Seattle, Washington, with her husband and 2 children. She loves to talk about Buddhism perspective on awakening, ascension, and the fifth dimension. Now, Vaughn provides insight to how women can flourish in the fifth dimension. She will discuss the information that she uncovered from 20 years of research following the collaboration between Buddhism and academia in order for her to understand how consciousness changes reality and how Earth is moving up to the fifth dimension parallel reality. The trending conversation is about the fifth dimension is really gaining popularity online. However, you might be wondering how the fifth dimension, what it is, and how business women can thrive in this new energy of unity consciousness. Well, today Vaughn will offer tips for women as well as men and how they can thrive in the fifth dimension that she gets from her quantum healing hypnosis clients. I am so honored that Vaughn made the time in her schedule to come back and continue our conversation and to specifically address business women of the fifth dimension. So join me in welcoming Vaughn Galt to the Holistic Entrepreneur. Well, welcome, Vaughn. I am so excited and so honored that you took the time out of your busy schedule to come back again. I love the fact that we can continue our conversation.
Oh, definitely. Thank you for having me, Bonnie.
You know, I don't know if people listened to the last show that you were on just a few weeks ago, so people can go back and listen to that. But would you share just a little bit about your background, what brings you to who you are today and why you do what you do?
Yes. So basically what brought me into this space of talking about awakening, ascension, and the fifth dimension is because of my childhood upbringing in Buddhism. I'm Laotian, and my family spiritual tradition is Buddhism, and for a very long time I was raised in the tradition, but for most of the time when I go to the monasteries with my family, most of the monks and the nuns would teach kind of the ABCs, which is how to not destroy your life so much that you have to come back if you choose to incarnate again in the physical, whether it's on Earth, another planet, another dimension, wherever it is. But if you choose to incarnate again in the physical, that you don't come back with the same soul group trying to make right what you did wrong. So that's what I call the ABC lessons that most people, especially third dimensional people, get stuck in the wheel of Dharma doing. But for me, I got those basic lessons very, very early on. Great, be a nice person, don't cause suffering, don't get caught up in the wheel of Dharma. And what I ended up doing was branching off and studying the murals and the art history in the canon and in the temples, and asking the nuns and the monks, what does this mean? What does that mean? And I was very attracted to sacred geometry in Buddhism, and just kind of the sci-fi aspects about the imagery that's on the murals. And about 20 years ago, I started to follow many prominent Buddhist monks and nuns like the Dalai Lama and others as they were going into academia and helping science study metaphysics, consciousness, meditation, and just to see how much of this information that Buddhists have been studying and writing about for almost 2,600 years, how much of it will actually stand the test of time with modern science, and how much of it needs some further clarification, because all we do is we add to the canon. And what was found is much of it is still very current and still stands the test of time. And some vague understandings about awakening, ascension, the fifth dimension, and other things got clarified even further. So it was a really nice collaboration and still going on. And so now it's not fringe science, now it's just regular science. But all that information birthed out a book. Which is Buddhist Mandalas, Explore Parallel Realities with Sacred Geometry. And it's one of 3 books. I'm actually working on the second book right now, and then hopefully in a couple months, we'll start working on the third book. But it has all the scientific evidence to show that the Earth is moving into the 5th dimension, and many of the people are as well. And when you're doing your awakening and ascension work, it will help you thrive in the 5th dimension.
This is such a timely topic, I think, as we're moving into the 5th dimension and all the things that are going on in the world. Because talk with us a little bit about the energy and how the 5th dimension is different than what we've experienced.
Yes. So we're going to do a little bit of time travel, and I spoke about this in previous interviews, but for those who aren't familiar, just really briefly, between 2010 and 2012, many indigenous tribes worldwide, including the Buddhist tradition, joined up with the chiefs of the Easter Islands, the chiefs of the Mayans, various Native American chiefs, and what we did was we did the awakening ceremonies. And all we did was close out a cycle that we've waited thousands of years to do, and close out the cycle of polarity, of seeing separatism in one another, of kind of working in third dimensional ways of, you have to control everything, you have to do everything by yourself, you have to micromanage, all that third dimensional kind of thing. But we close out that cycle, and we welcome a new cycle to the earth. And the new cycle is of unity consciousness, of seeing the namaste in one another, of recognizing the divinity in each other, of working together to get to the end goal. Because what has happened and what they found in science to be true, and I've watched this for 20 years of scientific research, is they have what they call the Schumann resonance. And everyone can actually go to this website, and it's called Noosphere, NOOSPHERE.princeton.edu. And basically, that is a research project done at Princeton University by the Institute of Noetic Sciences and HeartMath Institute. And you can go in there and you can read 20 years of data, one event after another event. And what they found is they were just researching to find out, is the earth alive? And are all these indigenous cultures that believe this phenomenon about the earth, does the earth respond to us? And after 20 years of compiling all these data from these random number generators that they put all over the world, whenever there was a natural disaster like Hurricane Katrina, tsunamis, earthquakes, anything like that, the electromagnetics of the earth would spike. So what they found that was interesting is when it spikes, the people around it would also be affected. So they'll have some backaches, some headaches, and different things. And the other thing that they found as well is that when millions of people in a specific area around these seismology random number generators, when they're feeling a bit of anxiety about some impending thing, but they don't know, they are sending out this huge heart pulse, because their heart scientifically is about 5,000 times stronger than the energy that comes out of your brain. So if millions of people are sending out this huge heart pulse, they're sending out this anxiety or this huge emotion, and the earth, what they found, responds to it as well, and then she has an electromagnetic spike. And so the premise is true. The earth is alive and it affects us just like it affects all the other animals. When they sense a change in energy, they start squirreling and heading to the high mountains because they feel something's going to happen, and it usually does. And at the same time, we affect her. And sometimes she will respond to the heartfelt energy that we send out as well. So that is definitely true. But the interesting thing that they found in science is that they studied 72 different countries. And in looking at 72 different countries during the times when the Earth's magnetics were having these anomalies or spikes, 80% of the wars and also the social renaissance occurred. So the major wars and discourse in those countries happened at these times when the Earth's Schumann resonance spikes, and when they have major developments like a renaissance or a major development in medicine, etc. So what science has told us from studying 20 years of these events is that the earth is a magnifier. So she's just going to bring up everything that you are. So if you are third dimensional, low energy, negative, it's going to bring up all your fears and frustrations, your demons and your dark night of the soul. So it's going to come up for you to work on and resolve, so you can start creating out of positivity and the good stuff, because you have no more repressed third dimensional issues to bring up and resolve. On the flip side, if you are you've already dealt with your dark night of the soul and your repressed issues, it's going to bring up what you are, which is the renaissance. Instead of bringing up the wars in your life, it's going to bring up your renaissance. If you're creative, you're going to be more creative. If you're looking for opportunities, you're going to get many more opportunities knocking at your door. Your friend's going to call you with an answer to your problems, etc. So that's what's happening right now. And I've watched this for 20 years. And when we made that shift, the earth was making these small jumps, like from 7.83 hertz, which is her resting place, to 10 to 14. But past 2012, as we get further into 2020, she's making leaps, going 20, 30, 50. She's making leaps further into the higher dimensions and higher energies. So things are manifesting faster, things are happening faster. So you really want to work on your third dimensional issues and resolve that. So if the energy is manifesting faster and moving faster, then the abundance moves faster in your life. And so we just need to know how to use those tools of the fifth dimension to thrive in it, instead of constantly challenge ourselves and live like we're still in the third dimension, which is what I see many people still do. They still live and act as if we're still in the third dimension, and they're getting frustrated when it's not working out, and more of these dark night of the souls keep coming up for them, and they don't resolve it, and they get frustrated because it's still happening. So everybody needs to realize the energy has shifted, and so use the tools that we have now to build an abundant life for yourself.
Mm, I love that explanation. Now, let's talk a little bit about that. How can particularly women in business thrive in this new energy? How can they use the 5D tools? What tools are there for them to use? If you can give some examples, that might help our audience today.
Yeah. So, I mean, the very basic premise in the fifth dimensional energy is that things manifest faster, and it's going to bring up what you are. So if you're trying to work on thriving in the fifth dimension, which you should try to thrive in the fifth dimension if you're going to have fun doing it, because otherwise it's going to be a horrible experience living in the fifth dimension, because you're going to struggle. So now that you know the tool is all about unity consciousness, that shift of energy into working together, a lot of the third dimensional aspects of our life that we've known so far is going to start falling apart. And it's going to start accelerating to fall apart much faster. So the old ways of doing it all yourself, having full control, not letting anybody help you, all of that is not going to work in these higher energies of unity consciousness. The new way to thrive and to get further faster in these energies is to open yourself up to have a good team that you trust, that you can work with, communicate, shepherd each other's skills, so that you can have a holistic framework for how you're going to accomplish your mission, and then move forward together. So let me give this really great analogy on how to thrive in the fifth dimension. If you were sailing, for example, if you sail boats, the third dimension, you could probably sail a small boat by yourself, do all the maneuvering and everything to get to where you need to go. But what's happened is that the energy has changed and the wind has come through. And you maybe didn't notice that the change when it first came through, but then all of a sudden you get this huge whoosh of wind and bigger whooshes of wind, and you're still doing the same third dimensional sailing, getting frustrated for why you're not going anywhere. Well, what you need to do is realize that the energy has changed, and now you need to lift your sails up, get your crew together, everybody man their position, and let's sail together and take those knots to a much nicer area of the earth. We're going to get there faster together and have a great time when we get there. And that's the difference in what you need to do in your life and how you career path for your business or for yourself, is work in that mindset of unity consciousness. Does that make sense?
It does. And I've always felt that collaboration and cooperation is much better than competition. I don't have a competitive bone in my body. My husband always teases me about that. But I think that's kind of what we're coming into. I mean, is that kind of what you're saying? I mean, to me it's it's all about love, number one, but it's not the competition, the cutthroat stuff, the backstabbing, all the things that we did, that's third dimension stuff, right?
That is definitely third dimensional stuff. The businesses that will succeed are the ones who see that their staff is part of their family, and they look out for each other. And because they look out for each other and they take care of each other and they help each other out to pull through together to accomplish the mission, whether it's you're in a small team or you're in a company or whatever, you run a small storefront, that mindset is going to help, because you're not going to have such high turnover, and because the market is so competitive for quality people, because you build kind of a family network and you shepherd and look out for each other, you're going to build that loyalty in your staff and going to go farther faster because of that loyalty that you've built because of the way you run your business or run your work. At the same way goes also for your customers. When you work in these unity consciousness, collaboration, kind of localized community focus, your customers see you as an extension of their well-being, and they will continue to come back and refer businesses to you over and over again. And they're not going to necessarily be so easily swayed between this ad and that ad to this product and that product, because they know and they trust you because you've always had their back. So it's a shift in mindset, and we really need to focus more on local community-based type of entrepreneurship, because in the fifth dimension, as we go further and further into it, and Earth continues to level herself up and everybody who's going to go there with her, we just need to shift our mindset into that. It's a lot of it's going to, most of the commerce is going to be localized. We're not going to get it from as afar very much, because everything's kind of there's going to be some parameters that kind of block it. So it's local farming, local base initiatives that supply the product and the commerce to customers, and its customers are going to really refer to their businesses as part of their family. So it's very, very unity based, and that's how you're going to thrive in the fifth dimension. The other thing also is I can share with you some of the fifth dimensional business plans that I get from my QHHT hypnosis practice.
Oh, that'd be great.
Yeah. So on the side, one of the things that I came across when I was doing the 20 years of research, it's going into my book too, is about energy healing. And one of the energy healing modalities that I do is quantum healing hypnosis technique. And it was developed by the former hypnotherapist and author Dolores Cannon. And there's wonderful practitioners all over the world. You go to dolorescannon.com, you can find one in your local area. And it really provides me the opportunity to use all of this Buddhist knowledge that I have and apply it in practice to the clients that I get. And oftentimes the clients that I get are really old, ancient souls, and you can see it in their Merkaba as well, and in their energy field. But when they get to the part in the hypnosis practice where we talk to the subconscious, their higher self, oftentimes they will be given their fifth dimensional business plan, because it was for them to experience the fifth dimension fully. And one of the examples, and you're going to start seeing some similarities. One example, I had this woman who came in, her and her husband had bought a piece of land up north, and they love this land. People come and enjoy it for the healing aspect of it, but they really are struggling to figure out how to utilize this land, their property, to make income and support their livelihood. Well, the business plan that the higher self gave her was that this land happens to be 100 feet above a crystal cavern that has 15-foot long crystals underneath their property, which is why everybody feels it's healing. The other thing is it's a 5-acre piece of property, and it all over the property in the woods has blue mushrooms and flowers that grow in a perfect circle all over the place. So, that if you are familiar with fairy rings, those are the signs of a fairy ring. And then they're really up in the mountains, and they're both fifth dimensional in their energy. And sometimes they say they hear Bigfoot crossing through, but nobody else hears it. And Bigfoot is actually a fifth dimensional being. So of course they would hear it. So the purpose and why they bought this property and why they were attracted to you, as well as other people asking them, hey, when you're done with this property, I want to give you some land to do to take care of this land over in Wyoming, this land over in Nevada, this land over in Montana. We just want you to take care of it. And the reason why is because what the oversoul gave them to do was it is in your plan to be a caretaker of the earth. The fifth dimension is all about being caretakers and caregivers in all different ways. And so for you guys to thrive and make a good income is you need to create a meditation retreat on your property. You can also do art and yoga workshops, couples retreats as well. The land will be healing for people. Use sacred geometry, bed and breakfast domes for the people that are there for the different retreats. And so it's a healing center and a vacation retreat that people will come to because of the special land. And when you're done with this, and of course, you're going to use your family to help. Your sister who is looking for a job as an art teacher can facilitate the art workshops. Your spouse who's a cook and looking for a job can provide the farm to table organic three-piece menus. You know, all these different people who are looking for something to do for jobs that they enjoy, you actually offer that as part of the different workshops and packages that you have going on this special property, as well as making sure this property is not developed with an overabundance of people because they're building into the area because of how special it is. And when you're done with that, the oversoul wants you to do that to other special properties across the country. So that's the fifth dimension of business plan. I'll give you another one really quickly.
Well, that's a fabulous plan. I want to go to one of those.
I know, I love it. I want to go and I just want to go and meditate inside the fairy rings.
Yeah, yeah.
It sounds like fun, or over the crystal cabin. But I also like good food and wine too. So
yeah, I'm with you. Yeah.
yeah. Another one is I had a gentleman come in, and he his fifth dimension of business plan is, you know, he really wants to get out of construction and he wants to get into farming. But, you know, most of the farms, they don't sell the land because they're inherited property, and the farmers aren't going to sell the family land.
Mm-hmm.
But many of them don't farm their land anymore because they've outgrown it. The kids have moved on. They're senior and they don't have the energy to continue the farming. So the business plan that the subconscious of this person gave was, and this is all optional. If you choose it, you actually love farming, but it's going to come in a different way. You're going to lease the land from somebody who would love to see life brought back to the farm, but you're not going to do it yourself. A lot of your friends and family are going to help you, and you're going to pay them as well, but you can also offer it to the public for exchange for labor. So people can come in as a summer farm camp with room, board, and free food to farm the land with you and get an experience. And it's free because they're paying through their labor. For the experience of the summer farm camp. Lots of parents would love to bring their children here to learn about farming, help pick pumpkins during the fall, etc. And it's just a free thing. Come help us pick pumpkins and take your share of pumpkins home with you. So there's no more free labor there. You can also get your art fix by taking pictures of the farm and taking pictures of other farms and having a community and kind of evangelizing it on the internet so people can come and learn about it and kind of escape from the city in the farm life. And that will help you get your artistic pursuit and also travel through the farming community as well and get your travel fix that way as well. There's other ways in which you can get this help from this farming business plan as well, whereas you can also provide, like, again, food to table excursions where people can come in and they can have a 3-course or a 5-course menu on the seasonal foods that is being grown on the farm, and then enjoy that excursion, or enjoy cooking excursions on what kind of seasonal foods they can cook in your farmhouse with cooking workshops. So there's all these different ways in which you can make wonderful money taking care of this farm, bringing life back to the farm, and you're not doing it all by yourself. It's a 5th dimensional business plan. And the other thing is, before he grows anything, he needs to go to the different shops, tea shops, farmers markets, etc., and ask him, what kind of produce would you want to buy from us if I grew it? And get those contracts so you already have built-in money, and then grow the produce and just deliver the sale.
Mm.
So
Well,
see the difference?
I love that. I mean, I grew up on a farm, so I can relate to a lot of that.
Yeah.
But it's like going back to the core. It's going back to our basics. We have
Mm-hmm.
lost sight of that simple time.
Yeah. We have outsourced our livelihood so much in the
Yeah.
third dimension that we have forgotten how to be good stewards of our own life,
Yeah.
and also stewards with the planet and with each other. So we're really going back to that holistic framework, and we're in this fifth dimensional energy in those two examples and I've had many examples, and they all have parallels to fifth dimensional energy and how to thrive in it. All of them talk about working in collaboration. All of them talk about utilizing each other's skill sets and trust and communication. And all of them are talking about the outcome is so much more abundant and so much further ahead that they could ever imagine had they done it on their own.
Mm-hmm.
But now everybody is light years ahead in abundance and experiences, that it just keeps on unfolding and unfolding and unfolding and unfolding and just keeps on growing. But that's what the fifth dimension is about. It's all about living in abundance, and there's more ways to be abundant besides you have to hoard it all yourself.
Right. I think a lot of people, especially in today's world, they work online. And in my mind, and correct me if I'm wrong or if you feel differently, but I think having that sense of community and family and being a steward and serving your customers can be done in an online space as well, without the
Mm-hmm.
one-on-one physical in the same physical location type of thing. Is that Does that make sense?
Yes, and I work in IT as well. And the thing is that um, even when you work in collaboration, IT is a communication tool. It's
Mm-hmm.
all it is. It's just a communication tool. The internet is a communication tool. And so with part of these two examples and the fifth dimensional business plan that my hypnosis clients got from their higher self, they both needed a very nice basic website and continue to manage and add it, and then also evangelize what's happening at the farms or what's happening at the meditation retreat, um, so that people can engage with what's
Mm-hmm.
going on and build interest and build a community around it.
Yeah.
So yes, technology is definitely part of the space, and it will actually draw a lot of technology people out of their hibernating home offices
Mm-hmm.
into being, into engaging with the physical world a little bit more.
Yeah.
So just to get the pictures and just to get a better idea of how to represent the market and represent the product, etc. So
Right.
there's a really good collaboration between the two.
Well, and especially in today's environment, why right now what's going on with the pandemic, we can't do the proximity stuff that we had been able
Mm-hmm.
to do. And in my mind, I don't think this is going to be the last pandemic we're going to have to deal with. So we're probably going to have
Mm-hmm.
to do this again. So I think having the ability to be either or both or at the same time, but I think you're so right in that the internet is a communication tool. It's what you do with that tool, how you
Mm-hmm.
infuse your energy, your love, your support, your service into those tools to reach your customers wherever they might be.
Exactly. And what's really interesting too, and they're actually starting to do this, the owner of the biggest Chinese commerce is Alibaba, Jack
Yep.
Ma. And Jack Ma, he, what he's really good at doing is, and he had a great background. His parents was a musician and a teacher and very, very poor. And he had a wonderful backstory. But anyways, whatever is growing in the areas of China that is producing, like let's say they're producing strawberries, that's what they promote all across the website. So everybody in China is eating strawberries at the same time because that's what's abundant.
Mm-hmm.
And then once honey is abundant, that's what they promote all over the internet there. It's not everybody's putting honey on everything. So it's just really kind of working with Mother Nature. Whatever's in season, that's what we're going to promote. And, you know, if we do that in a mass scale all across the world with all these different, in this example, farms, you won't have these small localized farms struggling so hard to
Yeah.
make it in the market when they're competing with these national chains, because these national chains are going to actually start looking at localized efforts more because they
Mm-hmm.
can't function in the fifth dimension being so
Mm-hmm.
distant and spread out.
Yeah.
Big, so we're really watching the third dimension fall away, and the fifth dimension emerging. So the fifth dimension energy, women actually thrive very well in this energy. It's, you know, it's kind of like the goddess has returned. She's like, oh, I've gone
Mm-hmm.
through slumber, now I'm back. So, and the fifth dimensional energy of unit working with each other and communicating and make sure, well, what kind of roadblocks do you have that, you know, we
Yeah.
can
In the
try to find,
caregiver role, you
and the
know?
caregiver
Yeah.
roles, all of that. What are those characteristics? Those are very synonymous with women. They're
Mm-hmm.
very easy for us to pick up: a caregiver, a stewardship, you know, open communication, transparency,
Collaboration.
collaboration. These
Yeah.
are very easy traits that many
Yep.
women already have. So now we just need to know how to utilize them in these 5D energies. And so there's a couple of tips that you can actually use to tune in to the fifth dimensional energy and kind of release third dimensional energy
Great.
that you might still have in your life that's keeping you stuck into trying to live in these higher energies with dense tools. So some of the things that some women and also men can do as well, but like I said, this is low hanging fruit for women to adjust.
I like that. Yeah. Yeah.
It's really a low hanging fruit for women to just pick up and go, oh, okay. But both people can do it, men and women. But basically, you want to release the 3D conditioning. And when I say conditioning, conditioning is any belief system about yourself or about other people, about the market, about anything in our matrix reality that is really not your belief system. So let me give you an example that is rampant. It is that you know, women can't really uh, they're not really analytical. They can't really work in IT. Technology is just really hard for them to do, all that kind of stuff. That's not your belief system. Okay, you picked
Mhm.
that up probably from society, the media, whatever your home life structure of, you know, these are the roles of women, these are the roles of
Mhm.
men. Those conditioning of what role you should be playing into to succeed in life don't fit in the fifth dimension, because the
Mm.
fifth dimension, there are no roles. It's what works.
Mhm.
So if you are the female and you happen to have the higher paying job, and your spouse has one that's more flexible and you have young children, well, obviously you're not going to be the home take, you know, maker, clean the house, take care of the kids, and work a 9 to 5 job and run the business at the same time. And it's not going to happen. So what you're going to need to do is kind of break those conditioning that's keeping you stuck in these roles that really don't fit in the higher dimensions, and work together with your spouse so that you can go, okay, so you have flexibility in this area, why don't you go do this, and I have flexibility in this area, it makes more sense for me to do this, and really communicate, collaborate, and work together towards the goal. And you're going to get there farther, faster, much easier, and with less headache and less stress on your body and your resources if you just let go of those conditionings that are holding you to certain boxes.
Yeah.
So th- everybody could have a great time going through their list of conditioning that's holding them to certain boxes. There's a lot, TV, media, family, religion, culture. Culture is a big one too. So that's one to do. Another way to do it is to be open to new tools. Okay, don't let narrow-mindedness limit you. All right. So, for example, if you are really struggling with dealing with the stress of whatever you're working with, but you have been conditioned that maybe meditation or yoga is for kind of the weird people or anything else of that, and so you're trying so hard to relieve the stress, and so you have been raised, okay, well, just take a bunch of pills and medication, so you just turn into a pill popper and it's not working for you. Well, that's an example of you really limiting the tools that you can use to better yourself. So really be open, because maybe meditation might work for you. Maybe art, taking an art project or coloring might work for you to relieve that stress. Maybe yoga might work for you. There's a lot of different tools in the tool belt, and you can use whatever works for you. And what works for one person might not work for another person. So don't limit yourself to, you got to only use this tool because this is what everybody else in your family does, or this is what your doctor told you to do, or this is what your husband told you to do. So, at the very end, it's about what works. And if one tool works for you, then that is meant for you. So be open to that. Another one is, it's really good for everyone to kind of check out of reality sometimes. I mean, obviously you want to, stay on top of your bills and your responsibilities, but have some of your alone time. Okay, have some alone time. You can meditate in your alone time. You can just sleep. Some people just love to sleep in their alone time. That's the meditation. You can take nature walks and just contemplate life. These are just alone times. And what they found in science is that when you do meditation, meditation is anything that stops the monkey mind from thinking. So if you're painting or gardening, you're taking hikes, you're taking a bike ride into a nice long trail, you're not thinking about the things that you have to do. You're just thinking about, oh, I got to skip this rock, and I'm going to take that trail and look at those birds and those flowers. Your mind is completely blank, and when you're in that energy, your health gets better. You feel better, and you actually are more creative too, because then all of a sudden, all the other things are not in your mind, and all of a sudden solutions present themselves to you. And that's why, like Buddhists always say, the difference between meditation and prayer is good if you're asking the universe for something. Can I have XYZ? Meditation is one where you silence everything and you wait for the universe to talk to you.
Mm-hmm.
That's the difference. You're not asking, you're receiving.
Yeah.
So be in the mind state of receiving from the universe, and that's what meditation and contemplation allow you to do. And then the very last thing is, as we get further into the fifth dimension, because Earth is making those Schumann resonance leaps into higher and higher energies, and more people will awaken. And in Buddhism, awakening is just somebody who realizes that they exist in a holographic reality that is responding to the commands of its user, which results in conscious creating both individually and collectively. So that's just awakening, and you're going to have some of your different awakening symptoms like warps and Mandela effect. You might see some red flashes. You can drink lots and lots of water. It's going to happen, and it's going to happen slowly for different people. So that those are normal. There's a lot of support groups that are out there, and more are coming online because more people are having awakenings. And then as you have your ascension symptoms, where you're leveling up your energy away from the third dimensional energy and going further into the fifth dimensional energy of higher consciousness with the earth, you're going to have some symptoms that come online, because this is all spiritual. You're going to have sixth senses that come in. Your brain's going to just work much faster. You're just going to come up with solutions so much faster, because everything's going faster into these higher frequencies. And that's normal as well. So you might have to focus. That's a big word for the fifth dimension, is focus. Okay, so we're going to get so creative and have so many opportunities in so many different directions. It's going to be really hard. It can almost be debilitating how much good fortune comes to you at the same time, or short spans of time. So you really have to decide, what do you want? Take inventory of where you want to be and just focus on the path that gets there, because you're going to have a lot of things presented to you and they're all wonderful. So which door do you take? So that's going to be happening as we get further into it. So as you get further into it, the reason why I bring up your ascension symptoms is that you're going to start seeing synchronicity. And synchronicity in Buddhism is just your soul group and your angels working to bring you your next best experience. And they work through kind of repeat numbers, kind of ironic things that pop in your reality, like you might think of something, and then all of a sudden somebody will walk by and answer that question. It's like, oh, okay, I guess that's what I'm supposed to do. So it's almost kind of like following the rabbit trail down the road, and that's what's going to happen more in these energies. And so, especially if you're a woman in the fifth dimension, in this fifth dimensional energy, working to thrive and working on focus, you're going to start seeing synchronicities. And again, you have to decide what you want. And when the synchronicity happens, you can be like, oh, okay, that's what I want to do. Okay, I'm going to go and do that now. So you can kind of follow the cookie crumbs. But again, it's your choice if you want to do it. But you're going to be working a lot with your angels, because they love the fifth dimension, because the fifth dimension is the last physical dimension where you have physicality. That's the highest.
Yeah.
All the other ones are spiritual levels.
You know, you've got everybody so excited to drop their third dimensional traits and get into the fifth dimension and really expand and allow all that abundance. So thank you so much for sharing all these awesome insights with us. Now, I know, Vaughn, that people are going to want more of you. So tell everybody how they can connect with you. I will put the link to your website and to your book, if you like, on the show page so that they can just click on it and magically go there. But tell us how we can get more of Von Galt.
Yes. So one of the things with my hypnosis is all my clients typically bring the same message out from their oversoul, the higher self. And the higher self in all my clients, which is the same energy in everybody equally, says the same thing. And I just want your audience to take this away as well. The oversoul, your higher self, wants you to know that you've always been enough. Use the gifts and the resources all around you to create a life you want to experience. A life full of joy and love. And the spirit world will nudge you through synchronicity. You can do it. So that's the message. And you can get all of my offerings on my website, merkabachakras.com. That's MERKABA chakras.com.
Awesome. And I will put that link on the show page. And I'm sure that the last message, the golden nugget that you gave us, is probably on your website someplace as well.
Mm-hmm, mm-hmm.
Awesome. Thank you so much for taking time today, Vaughn. I know that you're a busy person, and I know that you made extra time aside from what we had originally planned to do this show this week. Thank you so much for being here.
Well, thank you for having me. It's wonderful to talk to you again.
Well, thank you for joining me on another episode of the Holistic Entrepreneur Show. You know, it's been my honor to serve you with valuable content to help you on your entrepreneur journey. You know, between the Gift of Choice show and the Holistic Entrepreneur Show, I've been podcasting for almost 10 years now. And you can find the archives for both shows, the Gift of Choice and the Holistic Entrepreneur, at bonniegroessl.com. Just click on the podcast link, and they will always be there for you. Today, I would like to announce that the Holistic Entrepreneur will be taking a break. The show is going on hiatus until further notice. My husband and I are embarking on a new business adventure and really need to dedicate our time and energy to this new opportunity. Now, the August group angel reading will air next week as usual. And if you want me to continue the monthly group angel readings past August, and continue with those, please reach out to me. If there's interest, I will continue to do those readings the first week of each month. And of course, I will continue to have special offerings in gifts and courses on my websites at bonniegroessl.com and bonnielinks.com. Now, these links are on the show page as well, so make sure you maybe bookmark them so that you have them. And please connect with me through my website or either one, bonniegroessl.com or Bonnie Links, if you would like the group angel readings to continue past August. It has been such an honor to serve you. Thank you so much for the privilege and for joining me, spending your valuable time with me here on the show. I am so grateful. And as always, remember, anything is possible as long as you believe in yourself. Blessings, everyone.